say that I am a ghost. An hallucination, a million sparks of electricity that create a solidified figure for just a moment, or maybe a hair longer before I disappear into the air forever. You could also say that I am memory, a spark of synapse that fires through your brain as you think of me as I am now. You could say all of these things, but for certain, I am Nikola Tesla. Hello. Welcome to my study. I rarely see people here. It is nice sometimes, but I mostly sit here working, inventing, even here in the afterlife. Though sometimes it takes 20 years before my ideas make it to Earth. But the idea has to start somewhere, yeah? But I do see some puzzled looks in some of your faces. Some of you have read more than one history book in your lifetimes. Me? I read my father's entire library in my hometown, Smiljan, Croatia, when I was just a boy. So, yes, I know a thing or two about a thing or two. Have you heard Mr. Thomas Edison's quote, "I have not failed, I have only found 10,000 ways of not to make a light bulb"? I perfected his light bulb! In fact, it was because of Mr. Edison that I came to America. Excuse me. I often get letters from my acquaintances and friends from my past life. But the one who writes me most often is my dear friend, Madame Filipov. See? Her again. She writes to me so often, and we know each other so well, that I often don't have to read her letters. I only read them if they're urgent. You can tell if they're urgent by how she addresses the envelope. This one is urgent. This one needs no response. Madame Filipov worries too much. Madame Filipov is a nickname, really. Her real name is Catherine. Her husband, Robert Underwood Johnson, I nicknamed Luka Filipov, after the great Serbian hero from the great Balkan poem that I translated for him. He was a great socialite and editor of the New York area. And it is because of him that I had many, many friends. And it's also because of him that I now receive many, many letters. I mean, if it weren't for him, I would never have met his wife. Catherine's letters are the only ones ever worth answering anymore. Sometimes, unless she wants me to visit her. Oh, but here is an example from 1893. She wrote,
"Dear Nicola, you looked ill the last time I saw you, yet somehow you managed to cheer me up. And now I need to be brought up again. I have always wondered when the great changes are in progress if you know of them. It means so much that I would fain escape, disintegration, separation. I wish that I, like you, could go on forever and forever in the same routine, without break, living my own life as you say you do. I do not know whose I live. It has not seemed my own. You must come tomorrow evening, you see. Faithfully yours, KJ."
I never answered that letter. But I cannot leave. There's so much work to be done. And I don't think that her husband would appreciate it if I visited her when she was alone. Though I love them both. Sometimes when I visited them at the dinner table, it resulted in awkwardness. But, you know, to be clear, Luka was an incredibly loving man. Yes, he was neglectful at times, but he honored his Madame Filipov. When she died in 1923, he honored her dying wish to maintain a deep friendship with then Nikola Tesla. And I too maintained her memory through that friendship, and I've kept all of her letters even after death. No. all of my inventions with electricity and wireless communication. Catherine came up with a very interesting idea. She wrote it to me in a letter. She said,
My dear Nicola, sometimes I hope you will make me tell you what I know about thought transference. I sometimes fear it will all pass away with me, and you of all persons ought to know something of it, for you could not fail to have scientific interest in it. I call it thought transference for want of a better word. Perhaps it is not all that I've often wished and meant to speak to you of, but when I am with you, I never say the things I had intended to say. I seem to be capable of only one thing. Do come tomorrow, Saturday. Faithfully yours, KJ.
I never answered that letter either. But do you hear? Thought transference, where two people would stand at two ends of the world, and one would think, and the other one would know exactly what the other one was thinking and feeling at that moment. It is the ultimate form of telephone. It is a preposterous idea, but a satisfying sentiment. I mean, if her theories were true, there'd be no reason to respond to her letters. The last letter to me. I never responded to this one either, but I have thought of a response to her, but I cannot send it. She wrote,
My dear Nicola, I have gone to Maine for part of the summer, away from Robert and the children. I came here a month ago, quite alone, to this hotel full, but empty for me, since it is a strange world. Here I am detached, as if nothing belonged to me but memory. At times I am filled with sadness, and long for that which is not. And you? What are you doing? I wish I could have news of you, my ever dear and ever silent friend, be it good or bad. But if you will not send me a line, then send me a thought, and it will be received by a finely attuned instrument. I think I would be happier if I knew something of you, you who are unconscious of everything but your work and who have no human needs. This is not what I want to say, and so I am faithfully yours, KJ. P.S. Do you remember the gold dollar that passed between you and Robert? I am wearing it this summer as a talisman for all of us.
I read this letter every day and think of a response to her. But there's no telling if she ever gets my thoughts. She remains distant in her letters. Her idea of thought transference is silly. Electrons are fascinating subjects. They flit around the atmosphere, linking and charging to other particles, changing how an atom, the building blocks of the universe, dance across the sky. Electric power is forever present in limited quantities. It drives the world's machinery, the world's beings without fuel. But the power is limited and sometimes stops. It is why we're able to exist. It is why we can think. It is why the heart beats. It is why I'm here in front of you today. And electricity may be exactly why Catherine's theories may be true. I am, and forever will be made of electricity. My being will always think, my heart will always beat, and eventually I will disappear from you forever.